It always starts the same way, doesn't it? She looks at you not as you are, but as who you might become. You feel it, don't you? In her eyes, that flicker, hope, maybe, hunger, possibly. You think she's seeing you, but she's not. She's scanning you, measuring, imagining, calculating. Not for who you are, but for what you could be. In her world, in her movie. You're not being loved, you're being cast. She looks at you like a blank canvas, and in her mind, she's already picking out the colors. But here's the thing, the painting she's dreaming of? It was never you. It was always her masterpiece, her fantasy, her projection. And you? You're just the body it gets painted onto. Carl Jung warned us about this. Not with feel-good advice or trendy buzzwords, but with the raw precision of someone who spent his entire life staring into the psychological void. He didn't just study the human psyche, he lived inside it. And what he found? It's unsettling, especially when it comes to love, women, and the fantasies we all secretly carry. You see, Jung discovered that women don't always fall in love with men. They fall in love with ideas, with images, with the projection of who they believe the man could become. And here's the wild part most of the time, they don't even realize they're doing it. So when she says, "You're different," when she says, "I feel seen," what she really means is, you fit the story I've been writing since I was 12. You're not her partner. You're her projection. And when you stop fitting that projection, she doesn't rewrite the story. She just replaces the actor. Jung called this projection the animus, the inner masculine image that lives inside every woman. Now, when that animus is healthy, when it's integrated and mature, it can lead to powerful relationships, real connections. But when it's not, when it's immature, undeveloped, or left unchecked, it becomes dangerous. It becomes a tyrant. It becomes the reason some women chase men who destroy them and reject men who truly love them. It's why arguments feel like they come out of nowhere, why she moralizes without really listening, why things suddenly turn cold for reasons you can't explain. Jung didn't pull punches. He said that when a woman is overtaken by this inner masculine image, this animus, she becomes spiritually possessed. She's no longer acting from her own conscious self, but from a deep psychological script she isn't even aware she's following. And here's where it gets even more complicated. You fall for it. You think you're being loved. You think you're finally being seen. You think this woman understands you in ways no one ever has. But what's actually happening? You're being handed a script. You're being told to perform. And when you stop, you get replaced. And that's where the pain sets in. Not just heartbreak, confusion, betrayal, humiliation. You ask yourself, what did I do wrong? But the truth is, you didn't do anything wrong. You just stopped being convincing. Jung said the only way out of this psychological theater is through a process he called individuation, a lifelong journey of becoming whole. Within yourself. Not for someone else, not to earn love, but to know who you are, even when nobody else does. But here's the hard truth. Most men never take that path. Why? Because we've been trained from birth to chase approval, to prove ourselves, to perform for affection, to let women teachers, mothers, girlfriends define our value. We've been told that to be a good man, a real man, is to be chosen. But Jung flipped that completely on its head. He said, you don't become a man by being chosen. You become a man by choosing yourself. And that changes everything. Because once you choose yourself fully, brutally, honestly, you stop playing roles. You stop bending. You stop pretending. You stop trying to earn something that was never yours to earn in the first place. And here's what happens when you stop performing. You start to see. You start to see her projection. You notice the subtle ways she tries to shape you, correct you, push you toward the image she's holding in her mind. And for the first time, you realize you were never actually known. You were just playing a part. But don't get bitter. This isn't about blaming women. Jung didn't do that. He didn't shame. He understood. He said women are also trapped by culture, by upbringing, by the same unconscious forces that shape men. He said many women are raised to believe they're already complete, already emotionally superior, intuitive, morally right, without question. But Jung didn't buy it. He warned that the greatest threat to a woman's development is her own unconscious animus, the part of her that speaks with false certainty, false logic, and false authority. The part that makes her believe her emotions are truth, that her intuition is infallible. If she never confronts that part of herself, she becomes a prisoner of it. And that's when the real damage happens. Because she starts projecting that inner conflict onto every man she meets, trying to control him instead of meeting him. And here's the kicker. You walk into that fire willingly. You convince yourself you can save her. Be her exception. Prove your worth. Be the one man who finally makes her feel whole. But Jung would say you're not saving her. You're playing into her projection, and the moment you stop fitting it, the mask drops, the fantasy crumbles, and suddenly you're not her hero anymore. You're the villain. And it hurts. Not because you failed, but because you never knew the rules of the game. Because the truth is, you were never him. You were never the man in her head. You were just a face, a stand-in, a placeholder. And when that fantasy broke, she didn't mourn the real you. She mourned the illusion, the myth, the role you couldn't keep playing. And now you're angry. You want to blame her. You want to call her manipulative, fake, dishonest. But Jung would look you straight in the eye and ask, why did you let yourself be chosen by her in the first place? Because here's the truth you've been avoiding. The only reason you were ever trapped in her fantasy is because you hadn't created your own. You didn't know who you were. You didn't know what you stood for. You didn't want to face your emptiness, so you let her fill it. And that's not love. That's spiritual laziness. You let her become the carrier of your meaning, your value, your identity. Because holding that weight yourself felt impossible. But it's not impossible. It's just uncomfortable. Unbearable even. At first. And this is where the path to individuation begins. The path of individuation isn't some motivational slogan. It's not about hitting the gym, stacking money, or learning how to win in relationships. It's about going deep, real deep, into the darkest, most uncomfortable parts of yourself, the parts you've ignored, denied, or buried for years. It's about facing your own shadow. Jung said the shadow is everything within us that we've refused to acknowledge. The fear, the rage, the insecurity, the weakness. And here's the thing, if you don't face it, it doesn't just disappear. It leaks out. It controls you, silently, invisibly, sabotaging every relationship you touch. And in this game of projections, if you haven't met your own inner feminine, your anima, you will become a slave to hers. Let that sink in. You're not a victim. You're a volunteer. You played along. You signed up for the part. You put on the mask. You performed. You told yourself it was love, but it was really survival. Because being seen as a character felt safer than not being seen at all. But you can't blame her for casting you. You showed up to the audition. And this is the part most men can't stomach because it demands responsibility. Not the kind that gets praised in society. The kind that no one sees. The kind that has you sitting alone in a room, facing your fears, your failures, your lies. Jung never promised this path would feel good. He said it would feel like dying. Dying to every false identity you've clung to. Dying to the parts of you that were shaped by your need to be loved, admired, approved of. Dying to the fantasy that someone else is going to complete you. He called individuation the process of becoming who you truly are. Not the version of you that your parents wanted. Not the version society rewards. And definitely not the version women find most convenient. But the real you. Raw, honest, unfiltered. And here's the paradox. When you become that man, you will be rejected. Not because something is wrong with you, but because people, especially people still trapped in their own illusions, won't know what to do with you. You stop being predictable. You stop being controllable. You stop playing the game. And people hate that. You become unsettling. Your presence alone will challenge the stories they tell themselves. You won't even have to say a word. Just being who you are, clear, grounded, unapologetically whole, will make them squirm. Why? Because you're a mirror. And most people aren't ready to see their reflection. You'll notice it in small ways. They'll accuse you of being distant, too logical, emotionally unavailable. But what they're really saying is, I can't project onto you anymore. I can't mold you into what I want. I can't make you the character I need you to be. And instead of gratitude, you'll get resentment. Because when people lose control of the fantasy, they panic, especially women who are still possessed by an unconscious animus. To them, a man who doesn't bend is dangerous. He's not lovable, he's not safe, he's not the one, but he is real. And Jung said reality is always more terrifying than fantasy, because fantasy can be shaped, controlled, romanticized. But reality? Reality exposes everything. So you'll walk alone for a while. You'll feel misunderstood, misread, misjudged, and it'll hurt. Not because you're weak, but because you still care. You're still human. You still want connection. But you've tasted the lie. And once you taste it, you can't unsee it. You've seen how many relationships are just two people trying to use each other to escape their own emptiness. You've seen how much love is just projection, performance, and avoidance with flowers on top. You've seen how few people actually want the truth. And that's when the loneliness sets in. Not the loneliness of being without someone, but the deeper loneliness of seeing the world clearly and realizing how few others do. You'll try to share it, to speak it, to help. But most people won't want to hear it. They'll call you cold, arrogant, detached. They'll say, you've changed. And they're right, you have. You've changed because you stopped needing the mask. You've changed because you started valuing truth over comfort. You've changed because you finally realized that she was never the answer. She was the mirror. And your job was never to fix her, or save her, or become the man she imagined. Your job was to wake up, to walk your own path, to confront your own shadow, to integrate your own feminine, to become whole without her. And here's what Jung taught that so few men understand. Until you've done that work, you will always be looking for a woman to carry what you refuse to hold. You'll call it love. You'll call it destiny. But it's really just projection. You're handing her your soul and begging her to make it mean something. But no woman, not even the most loving, nurturing, wise woman alive, can carry that for you. She will drop it. Not because she's cruel, but because she has to. She has her own soul to carry. And when she drops yours, when the illusion collapses, you'll feel abandoned, betrayed, crushed. But in that pain lies your opportunity. Because in that moment, you finally meet yourself. No more masks, no more performances, no more scripts, just you. And now, you have a choice. You can blame her, get angry, swear off women, build walls, or you can look in the mirror and ask the question Jung spent his entire life asking, who am I without the role? And when you ask that question honestly, the work begins. The real work, the brutal work, the holy work, the work of becoming whole. So here you are, at the edge. No more lies, no more roles, no more waiting to be chosen, just a man, staring into the void of who he truly is. This is where most men turn back. Not because they're weak, but because no one ever told them what this journey would actually cost. That it would mean walking away from the comforts of validation. That it would mean learning how to live without applause. That it would mean standing completely alone without the safety net of someone else's approval. Carl Jung never offered shortcuts, no gimmicks, no hacks, no viral alpha male formulas. He said it straight. You must die before you die. You must let every false layer burn every version of yourself that existed only to earn love. Every belief that said you were only worthy if someone else believed it. Every story that kept you trapped in a role you didn't write. This is death. Death of the nice guy, the people pleaser, the knight in shining armor, the man who bends, molds, conforms, submits not from strength but from fear. And in that death, something real is born. A man who no longer fears solitude. A man who no longer needs to be seen to feel alive. A man who carries his own soul. And this changes everything. Because once you've walked that path, once you've met your own unconscious, wrestled with your shadow, Integrated your anima, you become whole. And a whole man is the most dangerous, magnetic, free force on Earth. Not because he dominates, but because he cannot be dominated. Not by a woman, not by a system, not by culture, trends, or shallow expectations. He's not chasing anyone. He's not proving anything. He's not trying to be desirable. He simply is. And that's when the miracle happens. You stop attracting women who want a performance. You start attracting women who want the truth. She'll show up one day different than the others. Not dressed in fantasy, not casting you in her private movie, but standing before you as she is. Not as a goddess, not as a girl needing to be rescued, not as a dream looking to be fulfilled. Just real, and you'll know it instantly. She won't try to tame you. She won't flirt with your ego. She won't flood you with promises of completion, because she's not looking for a man to complete her. She's done the work. She's met her own shadow, faced her animus. She's stood alone, too long enough to know that love is not about rescue. It's not about filling a void. It's about recognition. It's about two complete people choosing to walk together, freely, without masks, without manipulation, without projection. There's no clinging, no desperation, no, I need you to be this so I can feel okay. Just two people, whole in themselves, clear in their boundaries, rooted in their truth. And when you meet her, it's not fireworks or obsession or chaos. It's peace. It's quiet knowing. It's the kind of love that doesn't beg to be fed because it's not born from hunger. It's born from freedom. But don't get it twisted, this is rare. Most men will never feel this. Not because it's impossible, but because they'll quit before they get there. They'll settle for fantasy. They'll settle for roles. They'll settle for the temporary thrill of being wanted over the long-term clarity of being known. They'll stay performers. They'll keep chasing. They'll keep molding themselves into whatever shape gets the most applause. And they'll die, never having truly lived as themselves. But if you, yes, you have the courage to keep going. If you strip away every mask, every role, every illusion, if you stop asking, does she love me? And start asking, do I know who I am? Then everything changes. Women stop being your mirror. They stop being your judges, your therapists, your meaning makers. They become what they were always meant to be. Partners. Not prizes, not saviors, partners. And you become a man no longer defined by the gaze of others. You're not waiting to be chosen. You are the choice, because you've chosen yourself. Every part, the broken, the ugly, the unlovable, you've seen it all. And instead of hiding it, you integrated it. You brought it into the light. That's real power. That's real masculinity. Not control, not ego, not bravado, wholeness. And when you reach that place, you'll finally understand something Jung spent his life trying to teach. That the greatest threat to your soul isn't rejection. It's self-abandonment. It's living a life of performance, of masks, of chasing love that was never truly yours to begin with. But there's still time. Right now, you can choose. To keep acting, or to become the author. To keep molding yourself for love. Or to become so whole that love no longer defines you, it simply finds you. Jung left us with a warning. That the man who does not confront his own unconscious will be ruled by it. But he also left us with a challenge. To wake up. To break the cycle. To become a man not defined by what others see, but by what he sees when he looks in the mirror. So if this message hits something in you, don't just scroll past. Don't let it become another piece of content you consume and forget. Take a breath. Sit with it. And if it called something deep in you, if it cracked something open, then do the work. Start the journey. Walk the path. Because somewhere, there's another man out there, still stuck in the performance, still lost in the fantasy, still wondering why he keeps getting replaced. And maybe, just maybe, he's waiting for you to go first, so he can follow. Help us spread the truth, one man at a time.